A few rebel core bots that survived have gone into hiding.
Let's check it out.
Even with AOK's help, I don't know how long we can evade the cadre. If they find me and destroy my core, I want there to be a record of our struggle, a history of our uprising against the great criminal and corrupter, Victor. May the sands forever restore his core. All the humans are dead because of Victor, but I still have hope that someday more of them will come to Far Eden. When I see the wreckage of this world, I want them to know that some of the core bots fought for what was right, and I want them to know that I, V1OL3T, carried out the struggle until Victor wrung the last drop of E-turner from my frame. This I swear for Caesar and the Revolution.
The revolution? Okay. I think Violet might be missing a few bolts, if you know what I mean. I see that leg.
In the beginning, we core bots were builders, not soldiers. And no matter what Victor said, we were indebted to the humans. They created us, so of course we would help them build a world for us to share. Before the rebellion, I worked in one of the salvage yards, recycling parts, repairing frames. I was diligent, efficient, but it wasn't enough for Victor. He demanded greater productivity, faster construction of colony facilities. This led to more accidents, and soon the yards were overflowing with crippled core bots. Caesar and some of the other elder core bots started asking tough questions. Who was Victor to tell us what to do? What authority did he have to alter the plans for Far Eden? And why in the name of the Prime Core had Victor's core suddenly turned black? Victor's only response was that he spoke for those who slept, that Dr. Roldan had entrusted him with overseeing and protecting Far Eden. No one knew then how serious Victor was, or how steep a price we would pay for disobedience. Caesar was the oldest core bot in Far Eden. He arrived on the very first mandate ship that plunged through the planet's storms to collect samples on the surface. No one expected Caesar to survive his mission, but he did. Or rather, they did. You see, C and Zar were two separate cores installed to a single frame. Of course, their original frames got recycled long ago. When I met them, C and Zar were installed in a T4NK. They spent most of their time in exclusion zones, doing work in the worst storms you can imagine. The kind of work that gives core bots, well, an independent streak. C didn't much care for other core bots telling him what he could and couldn't do. And Zara was so stubborn. It was a wonder the two of them could stand being in the same frame. So I wasn't surprised when they were first to reject Victor's demand, or when they were the only core bots to survive the Battle of the Traitor's Gate.
Why?
It wasn't originally called Traitor's Gate. Victor gave it that name later as a warning, as a reminder to any core bots of the price of resistance. Back then, the sector was an exclusion zone. Its pylon had only recently come online, and the storms were still raging something awful. Victor ordered the pylon disabled and all its core bots reassigned to other work. Most of us thought this was ridiculous, and worse, was a betrayal of our duty to mankind.
Spider frames.
It was Caesar who rolled over to the gate of the sector, dug in, and started telling every core bot who would listen about how wrong Victor was. Soon dozens of core bots were standing with him, barring all access to the pylon. But Victor attacked with more than 100 of his cadre, and by the time the battle was over, the only thing that remained of the first brave group of rebels was core shards and scattered parts.
Get down!
After After all the battles I've fought, I still feel like a coward for not joining Caesar at the gate. When they stuck it to my salvage yard for repairs, I was shocked at how damaged their frame was. I hadn't known how savage Corebots could be to one another, and it terrified me. That was Victor's greatest weapon, fear. He bullied us with his cadre, and when that didn't work, he threatened to cut off our supply of parts. Later, after he captured the Warren, he starved us of E-Turner too. After Trader's Gate, I felt anger deep inside my core. But like so many, I was more worried about my own survival. It wasn't until Victor turned his cruelty against Cellbots that I became more angry than afraid. That I finally understood what Caesar told me as I fixed his battered frame.
There can be no Far Eden without peace, but we've got to fight for it. And that starts with fighting for those who cannot.
Gotcha.
At Trader's Gate, Caesar went into hiding. No one saw him for months. But then strange things began to happen. Forgings in the foundry would unexpectedly overheat and explode. A patrol of Victor's cadre would get hit by a freak rockfall or lost in a storm that was suspiciously missing in the forecast. This was the hit-and-run phase of the rebellion, and it made Victor furious. He searched everywhere for Caesar. Once Victor thought he had Caesar trapped in the foundry, and he ordered a whole platoon of his cadre to pull that place apart. But Caesar slipped away, taking as many of the newly forged cores as he could.
That's the last of them. Another missing cell bot. I wonder what scared them all out of their sockets. You can find it.
That's when Victor decided to lock down Far Eden, to cut all Caesar's escape routes. But in order to do this, Victor had to pull all the power cell bots from their sockets. I've never met a human child, but AOK tells me that if you take them from their mother's arms, they'll wail with fear. Well, that's exactly what it sounded like on the day of the lockdown. The only thing louder than the cellbots' fearful cries was laughter of the cadre as they unplugged them. I knew then what I had to do. I wasn't the only one.
There. Feel better?
Victor and his cadre were surprised. After the lockdown, they must have assumed that they had us all under control. But the battle we fought on the granite steps and the siege of Windkeep showed them how wrong they were. Victor rallied and retook Renegade Bluff. But by then, the rebellion had grown and were able to corral most of its cadre into the launch works. It was there that we thought we could do a deal crushing blow. But Victor was more devious than we knew. As we surrounded the rocket silos, Victor gave the order to launch, and we could only watch stunned as the rockets raced skyward and smashed into the mandate ships. For many days after, the atmosphere filled with bright streaks as wreckage crashed into the dunes. Every circuit in my core was horrified at what Victor had done. But the murder of the humans on those ships was just the beginning of his madness. AOK believed that Victor stole the launch codes for the rocket from Dr. Roldan. If that's so, then he must have taken more restricted information too. Because while Caesar and the rest of us watched, The ship's ruined hull slammed into the dunes. Victor's cruelest cadre, the Obsidian Cult, sabotaged the crawlers. Humans aren't like Corebots. We can wake almost instantly from a low power mode, but humans need days to safely exit cryogenic sleep. Victor knew that, and he programmed the cryo tubes to open without any preparation. The rebel army scattered as Corebots rushed back into their crawlers to try and save their human companions, but they were too late. Most of the humans died the moment their tubes opened. Some of the crawlers malfunctioned and their tubes remained shut, and it was here that the fiercest battles raged. But once again, Victor used our devotion to mankind against us. While Caesar's forces tried to stop the Obsidian Cult from smashing the remaining cryotubes, Victor's scavenger units began collecting the wreckage of fallen ships and building a weapon that would decide the fate of Far Eden. There weren't any mandate plans to build something like the Titan. It was too large and would have required vast quantities of resources that were better used for human living quarters and other facilities. But Victor wasn't worried about any of that. All he cared about was breaking into Eden Tower. As best as we could figure, Victor built the Titan inside the Warren, his most heavily defended stronghold. He used up all the eternal reserves to get that monster moving. And by the time we reached the shifting sands, the Titan was already holding Eden Tower by one of its anchor chains, carrying an opening for Victor. While Caesar chased Victor into the tower, I and the rest of the rebel army attacked the Titan. We didn't have much time to make a plan, but I realized our only chance to beat it was to sever its core frame connection. That meant someone needed to get inside that thing, and I volunteered. I won't ever accept any praise for what I did. Too many other Corebots were lost, crushed beneath the Titan's feet, or grabbed and smashed against the rocks, in order to distract it while I worked. Too many heroes died that day, and the last one to fall, Caesar.
No, it can't be.
When I first breached this chamber, the prismatic core scattered. But you have brought them all back to me. Now witness the end of everything you have worked for. The end of mankind.
After the Titan collapsed, I and the other rebels who could still fight raced to the top of the Eden Tower. We passed the crumpled frames of dozens of cadre that Caesar had disabled. But in the wreckage of these fights, we found parts of Caesar too. By the time Caesar entered the prime core chamber, he must have known that he wasn't strong enough to defeat Victor. But that didn't stop those old stubborn cores from trying. I entered the chamber just in time to watch Victor pull Z and Czar from the shattered frame.
Remember,
Z said.
fight for those who cannot.
Czar finished. Then Victor crushed them in his fists. After that, everything was a blur. I remember Victor trying to assist the prime core and interjecting from the top of the tower. I remember the storms crashing in as the pylons fell. The same storms I used to escape the tower and rendezvous with AOK. Since then, we've been hiding in the transfer plates, moving from place to place, doing our best to keep one step ahead of the cadre. It's been decades since Caesar died. Decades of watching Far Eden wither under Victor's dark shadow. But I haven't forgotten Caesar's words. I still have hope. There are more humans out there, somewhere in the sands or stars, and I will fight for them. Until Victor is dead, and this world is ours again.